A Hamas delegation arrived to Cairo to participate in a new round of ceasefire talks. They did not comment on chances of striking a deal. Israel did not send its delegation to Cairo. They claim Hamas failed to provide lists of the hostages who are still alive. Pope Francis urged negotiations for an immediate ceasefire to continue during his Sunday address in the Vatican. Meanwhile, a UN Special Rapporteur has called for sanctions against Israel, claiming it is the only way to reach a ceasefire in Gaza. There are hopes a deal can be reached before the start of Ramadan, the Muslims' holy month, which begins on March 10 and 11 this year. China has begun a new attempt to negotiate talks between Russia and Ukraine. Chinese Special Envoy for Eurasian Affairs Li Wei arrived in Moscow where he met with Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister. Wei plans to visit Ukraine, France, Germany, and Belgium. Meanwhile, Germany's defense ministry said the leaking of the conversation between high-ranking officials was coordinated by Russia.
Inhaltlich von wenigen Ausnahmen abgesehen wenig Neues aus diesem Telefonat, jedenfalls bisher scheint das so. Und das wiederum führt dann zu der Erkenntnis, dass es hier nur darum geht, diesen Mitschnitt zu benutzen, nämlich um zu destabilisieren und zu verunsichern. Und das liegt an uns, ob wir über dieses Stöckchen springen, was Putin uns hinhält, oder ob wir besonnen weiter unsere Bahn ziehen, konsequent arbeiten, entschlossen bleiben und da nacharbeiten, wo sich die Notwendigkeit ergibt.
Rescue workers completed their operation on Sunday night after a Russian drone hit an apartment building in the city of Odessa. 12 people died, including 5 children from ages of 4 months to 9 years. Following the attack, President Volodymyr Zelensky urged Western allies to deliver more air defense systems.
A 7-year-old girl drowned on Sunday after a boat carrying migrants capsized near France. 16 people, including 10 children, were on board the vessel headed to the UK, according to French officials. The girl's parents were on board with their 3 other children. French authorities say the boat capsized in the Aar Canal, which leads to the North Sea, shortly after people boarded. Migrant boats are leaving further inland from the canal in French Watton to avoid surveillance. A vote to control Serbia's capital, the centre point of alleged electoral fraud last December, will be rerun, officials said Sunday. The announcement follows months of political tension and protests amid claims President Alexander Vucic's Serbian Progressive Party rigged the vote in Belgrade. Serbia's main opposition alliance, Serbia Against Violence, insists they were robbed of victory. They allege widespread voting irregularities. Vucic and his ruling party deny wrongdoing. Nikki Haley has won the Republican primary in Colombia, her first victory of the 2024 campaign. She won all 19 delegates. The victory is symbolic, mostly because the district only has 19 delegates out of a countrywide 2,429. But the win comes before Super Tuesday, in which 16 states hold primaries simultaneously. Haley's victory at least temporarily halts Donald Trump's clean sweep so far, although the former president is likely to pick up several hundred delegates on Tuesday.
On Sunday, hundreds of inmates escaped the main prison in Haiti's capital after an armed gang stormed the facility. 3 people reportedly died. Haiti's Ministry of Communication said the attack on the prison in Port-au-Prince sought to release those who were imprisoned for acts of murder, kidnapping, and other serious crimes. Human rights defender groups claim the facility, designed for 700 inmates, held nearly 3,700 people. Deepfake porn videos are surging in Greece. Some use free online AI tools to turn social media material into fake amateur porn videos. The victims in hundreds of cases are underage students.
Η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη έχει λύσει τα χέρια των απατεώνων με αποτέλεσμα όλοι αυτοί να ξέρουν να χειρίζονται τα συστήματα πάρα πολύ απλά, γιατί είναι με φωνητικές εντολές και παίρνουν φωτογραφίες, παίρνουν το πρόσωπό σου και στη συνέχεια το πρόσωπο αυτό το βάζουν σε ένα ερωτικό βίντεο, αυτό το μοιράζουν, το διαμοιράζουν σε πλατφόρμες με σκοπό είτε εκδίκησης είτε λύτρων είτε χαβαλέ και πλάκα. Στα σχολεία έχουμε εκατοντάδες θύματα παιδάκια τα οποία τους παίρνουν το πρόσωπο, τους το προσαρμόζουν πάνω σε ένα βίντεο ερωτικό και στη συνέχεια αυτό το πρόσωπο με το ερωτικό βίντεο διακινείται σε σχολεία και σε τάξεις.
Στην Ελλάδα το πρώτο περιστατικό χρήσης τεχνητής νοημοσύνης για τη δημιουργία πλαστού ερωτικού βίντεο καταγράφηκε πριν από περίπου 3 χρόνια. Θύμα ήταν μία ανήλικη μαθήτρια και δράστης ένας συμμαθητής της. Αυτό που αποκάλυψε στη συνέχεια η έρευνα προκάλεσε σοκ στις αρχές.
Είχε πάρει φωτογραφίες από τα μέσα κοινωνικής δικτύωσης ένας συμμαθητής της, τα είχε τροποποιήσει με τέτοιο τρόπο ώστε να φαίνεται ότι το παιδί συμμετείχε σε ένα βίντεο ερωτικού περιεχομένου και εν τέλει όταν άνοιξε η έρευνα, αλλά εφόσον είχε γίνει η διανομή του υλικού, μάθαμε ότι ήταν ο δεύτερος καλύτερος μαθητής που ήθελε να της πάρει τη σημαία. Οπότε το έκανε όλο αυτό για να τη δυσφημίσει.
In Greece, privacy breach cases have tripled over the past decade. The government is preparing a new law to help offline deepfake material as fast as possible.
Italian workers' safety has been at the center of the government's debate after the recent death of 5 workers at a construction site in Florence. In 2021, Italy registered the second highest number of workplace victims in the EU after France. And with the count on the rise this year compared to the same period in 2023, Rome is unveiling a new plan to improve working conditions. The initiative, which falls under the EU-backed National Recovery and Resilience Plan, includes the introduction of an additional number of inspectors and a new points-based license, forcing contractors to comply with safety standards to get permission to work. But both the country's Builders Association and Italy's main unions have criticized the move.
Noi ci siamo dichiarati non favorevoli alla patente a punti, ma non perché non vogliamo una stretta sui controlli e sulla qualificazione, perché in realtà la patente a punti, per chi vuole anche fare il furbo, mi permetto di dire, significa che un'impresa del mercato privato apre il 1 gennaio, chiude il 31 dicembre, poi riapre con una nuova impresa il 1 gennaio, quindi magari ha anche consumato i punti, ma gli ritornano. Ovviamente non abbiamo ancora letto che cosa prevede questa patente a punti, però non ci sembra questo il meccanismo giusto.
Trade unions see subcontracting as the main cause behind these accidents.
Una norma chiara sulla qualificazione delle imprese, che tenga conto della storia delle imprese, che tenga conto del comportamento nei cantieri di quelle imprese. L'impresa che gestiva il cantiere di Firenze aveva avuto già delle irregolarità accertate, sempre in materia di salute e sicurezza, su altri cantieri italiani.
Changing the system, trade unions say, would also help attract international investments. It will take several weeks to convert the decree into law, and both trade unions and business organizations hope that the plan can still be improved. Giorgia Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.
The far right was the biggest fear at the Party of European Socialists Congress in Rome. It's expected to win big in June's EU parliamentary elections. In his speech, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz proclaimed the very soul of Europe is at risk. And the socialist candidate facing Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in June told Euronews the challenge was to ensure no one was left behind.
We have to have a social Europe where every citizen feels not left behind. We are taking care of citizens, all those also who might have difficulties in present times. Purchasing power, but also the transitions and the changes in our economy. We will not leave them behind.
Schmidt is not predicted to remove Ursula von der Leyen from power in June. But Euronews' correspondent says a socialist candidate does look set to replace Josep Borrell, the EU's top diplomat.
12 years after the end. No que respeita aos cargos de topo nas instituições da União Europeia, o centro-esquerda tem agora o alto representante para a política externa. Mas no próximo mandato, os socialistas deverão lutar para ter a presidência do Conselho Europeu, que reúne os líderes dos 27 países da União.
Among the socialist leaders, Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa has been mentioned as the ideal candidate to take over from Charles Michel, the European Council President. But Costa says it's still too early to decide.
Debate das diferentes famílias políticas sobre os lugares a preencher, a distribuir, como é que eles serão ocupados. Até lá se verá o que é que acontece.
Meanwhile, the leader of the socialists in the European Parliament emphasised how important fighting climate change is to the party. 2023 was the hottest year on record and drought hit her country, Spain, particularly badly.
Es nuestra responsabilidad como europeos garantizar el planeta para las futuras generaciones y por eso hoy tenemos ya que poner en marcha unas políticas y unas medidas para luchar contra el cambio climático, pero hacerlo además de una forma en que la transición sea justa, que no paguen la factura del cambio climático los que más lo necesitan.
The socialists also promised to push for more military and financial aid to Ukraine and to boost the EU's budget for defence and security.
Euronews. The news